Hello, friends. This is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, advocate, and certified trauma recovery coach from danaarcuri.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. And so if anyone has noticed something I recently posted on my YouTube channel in the community post, then you will know what I'm talking about. If you missed it, you can head on over if you feel like it after you're done watching this video to check it out. But I hadn't posted in a while because, as you know, I've been on a digital detox, a little YouTube break, a little time to unwind and refuel, and to just kind of take a deep breath for the new year of 2022 to really focus on my business. And I'm back in school. I'm so excited. I'm back in school and learning, this time about somatic embodiment and emotional regulation strategies, something to help and support my trauma recovery clients in my coaching business. So I've been really busy over here, but I had recently posted something on the community page of my YouTube channel in regards to my own personal and healthy boundaries. And so in this little image, it had all the list of positive, healthy ways to have boundaries and what it looks like. And so anyways, this video today is in regards to that post. Today's video, of course, is going to be a lot more educational because that's what I'm all about, people. I'm all about sharing education. And so today's topic is toxic people will test you and your boundaries. And then I'm going to end by sharing some healthy tips to build better boundaries for you and how to do this. So many of you may not have been raised to build boundaries. I know in my childhood, in my teen years, even my adult years, I was never taught about boundaries. It was not something that was discussed, especially in my family of origin. It wasn't until probably like 2016, 17 that I started taking a deeper dive into researching boundaries and coming up with my own clear set of personal boundaries and professional boundaries. And so we're going to chat about that today. I'd like to start with an inspiring quote. I need my glasses to see. So here we go. This quote is by a woman named Tracy Malone, and she says, quote unquote, "When it comes to boundaries, most victims of abuse are a bit shaky on setting boundaries to protect themselves. As a child of a narcissist, I never learned to set boundaries. I never knew I could say, no, I'm not comfortable with that request. When we are dealing with a narcissist, they test us. They push your personal boundaries to see how much they can abuse you." And so that is the quote. And so I really relate to this quote because I was raised by a narcissistic mother. She did not have boundaries. She did not have any type of teaching of boundaries. And when I grew up and decided that this was best for me to establish some clear boundaries, especially with my family of origin, they pushed back. So they became extremely outraged, angry. They punished me for my boundaries. They ostracized me, criticized me, gaslit me, manipulated me, and tried to bully me into silence. And so the gist of this video is to help you understand boundaries, understand what it's all about. So let's get started. If we want to really get to the nitty gritty of like, hey, what are boundaries? I'm going to share specifically what they are. So according to Wikipedia, they say personal boundaries are guidelines. They are rules or limits that a person creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave towards you, and how they will respond when someone passes those limits. And so what I've experienced and what many of my viewers have experienced, and I can guarantee a lot of my coaching clients have talked about this too, is that people disrespect our boundaries. They disrespect us. They will test us over and over and over again. So it's not just one time or two times. No, we're talking hundreds of times. So it's very typical that toxic people and people who have no idea what boundaries are all about, or even if they do know what they're about, they will cross our boundaries because they're testing us to see how much they could hurt us, manipulate us, and abuse us. And so at the core of this message, it really is focusing on your safety, your emotional wellness, your mental health, and healing trauma. So our boundaries are not about other people. It's about us and our perimeters. We set our own standards. We have our own limitations of what we accept and what we believe is just not acceptable behaviors. So we can determine what is right and what is inappropriate for us. Remember, this isn't about anyone else. It's about you. It's about you at your core. You know, everyone may establish boundaries, but for each person, it can look a little bit different. And the reason why is because we're all unique people. We're all so different in our morals and our values and our background and our belief systems and our perspectives in life. So we set our limits on what types of behaviors we accept and what is not tolerable. In psychology today, they define boundaries as an invisible line you draw around yourself to identify what is acceptable behavior. So I'm going to stop right here and just kind of jump to the YouTube community post. And I'm just going to bring up, this post was specifically to communicate clearly to my YouTube viewers, followers, and subscribers what I consider my healthy boundaries and what I consider not healthy boundaries. So I was really clear in communicating to you that I've had a lot of people write comments on my YouTube videos. I've had hundreds and hundreds of people who have reached out to me on my website and they messaged me. And there are some people who have overstepped my boundaries many, many times. They ask me questions that I believe are just crossing my boundaries. So they might ask, what's your phone number? What's your address? They might ask me some really private and personal information that is like way beyond the scope of discussing with them because I don't even have a relationship with them. I don't know them and they don't know me. So just because you watch a YouTube video doesn't mean that you know this person. You might know of someone, but that doesn't mean you are in a relationship with them. Totally two different things. And so the gist of the community post on YouTube about boundaries is that there's plenty of people who have tested my boundaries, especially as a certified trauma recovery coach. Now, I'm not speaking about my clients. I am so blessed that I have numerous clients who are such a good fit for me. They are a blessing in my life, and I am so, so thankful for them. So when I'm speaking about boundaries, I'm really actually not talking about my clients at all. I'm talking about strangers. I'm talking about people I don't know. I'm talking about people even on Twitter who might say, oh, I need you to follow me because I need to send you a direct message. And they're carrying on and on and on. It's like, number one, I don't know you. No, I'm not following you. No, you cannot send me a private message on Twitter. And so that is just not a healthy boundary for me. I am a public person as far as an author and a speaker, a YouTuber, and a certified trauma recovery coach. There's plenty of information on me and I'm well aware of it, especially on Google. Well aware of it. Hey, I've Googled my own name. It's really amazing too to see like what you find out about yourself. And what I found is that a lot of my YouTube videos show up on Google, a lot of my blogs and information, a lot of my quotes. Yesterday, the Complex PTSD Foundation actually used my inspiring quote for Instagram. And it was such a blessing to see them somehow come across my book, the 6th book I wrote, Soul Rescue, How to Break Free from Narcissistic Abuse and Heal Trauma. I don't know how they found my book. I don't know how they found my quote, but they shared it. And then a friend of mine shared it with me. So this was a huge blessing. And I'm just like tickled pink that someone such as the CPTSD Foundation shared my inspiring quote on Instagram. And so I'm totally fine, with people who might have some questions if it's about my business as a certified trauma recovery coach. There are people who might have writing questions. They know I'm an author. And it's okay if someone says, hey, I just want to bounce a couple ideas off of you about writing their book. That's totally fine. Where I draw the line is my confidential personal information, my location, not open for the public, my phone number. Nope. No, not open for the public. And I will admit that I've had strangers who found me on YouTube, who came across, somehow they found or paid for my phone number. And I kid you not, they have called me on the phone. I have experienced a lot of crazy, bizarre things. Some I call creepy, totally inappropriate. Nothing ceases to amaze me. Nothing ceases to shock me and surprise me either. So I've been on YouTube for over 10 years. I think it might be heading into 13 years. I've seen everything. I've heard everything. You don't shock me. So, there are things that people say and they ask, and it's so inappropriate. It's so uncomfortable. But I can understand they themselves probably don't respect my boundaries, and they most certainly don't even have boundaries. And we can understand that, but that doesn't mean they get access to us. And so let's move on about 6 types of healthy boundaries. Now, a lot of times we just say boundaries, but we don't get specific. And what I really believe is it's necessary to educate ourselves about various types of boundaries, because it's not just like clear boundaries or healthy boundaries. No, there's some real specific type of boundaries. And so here we go. Number 1 is physical boundaries. Do you have physical boundaries? Like, hello, like your body? Do you have physical boundaries? I'm really curious. I know I do. This relates to your personal space, your privacy, and your body. And it's a really big deal, especially for any sexual abuse survivors or trauma survivors, especially if we were violated physically or sexually. For some people, they may experience someone crossing their boundaries when they get in your face. You know what that's like when someone's like, they're talking and they're getting right in your face. So they're like so close. They stand like way too close to you, kind of like crossing those boundaries, and it becomes uncomfortable. Sometimes we like back up because they're so close. You know what I'm talking about. And so it may feel quite uncomfortable when people do cross our boundaries, as in physical boundaries. Next is emotional boundaries. And this is obviously about our mental health and our emotions. So emotional boundaries is a limit that protects ourselves from manipulation, mistreatment, and being hurt. An emotional boundary is standing up for our beliefs, values, thoughts, and morals. It is a healthy expression of our self-respect, self-worth, and our own dignity. Number 3 is financial boundaries. Oh, dear God, beware. When there's a funeral, somehow death and money bring out the worst in people. Death and money will bring out the worst in people. This is when you need to amplify your financial boundaries. Many people have experienced the abuse of their finances. So here we go. So financial boundaries is how you save, how you spend, how you earn money, how you budget your money, etc., everything involving money. A healthy boundary in marriage and say an intimate relationship, say you live with someone. You might not be married, but say you live with someone, and it could even be a roommate, it could even be a friend, it could even be a sibling that you live with. But a financial boundary in a marriage or an intimate relationship or a living situation is freely opening up your own bank account, and it's your choice. And so a lot of people have shared with me that in their marriages, their spouses, boyfriends, intimate partners, etc., would be very resistant with these women wanting to open up their own checking account or savings account, what have you. And I know that this is something that is sensitive, but I also know there's a lot of women who have experienced abuse by narcissistic men, any kind of domestic violence or abusive marriages, etc. And so financial boundaries, it is something that's really important for us. And so when say it's your parent, say it's your spouse, say it's an intimate partner, say you live with a roommate, they might get upset if you want to have your own checking account, bank account, your own credit cards, etc. Now, please know this, that is a red flag. I mean, I'm telling you, man, that red flag is just screaming for your attention. It's like, danger, danger, danger. And so if someone is telling you that you can't have your own bank account, your own credit cards, and establish your own credit, hello, that's financial abuse, my friends. You need to not walk away. You need to run as fast as you can. Next is online boundaries. Oh boy, this is a hot topic, especially on social media and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. Oh yeah. So this is so important because we don't often know the people we're interacting with online. They could be strangers. Now, obviously, through time, we get to know them. Okay, that's great and fine. And we could find out a lot about them and the way they treat us and the way they treat other people online. So if you ever see something that doesn't seem right, trust your gut instincts. But as far as online boundaries, it seems like nobody talks about it. And yet, how many of us are being silenced? We're being bullied. We're being stalked. We're being verbally attacked online. And typically, these people, they don't even know us. They never, ever met us face to face. And so we have to understand. So an example of a healthy online boundary is to not participate in hurtful and cruel comments and to not bash someone on social media. You know, if you don't like someone's YouTube video, you could just scroll on by. You don't have to watch it. If you see something, say on Facebook, and you're just like, I totally disagree, you don't have to get into an argument. Why waste your energy? Move on. Find another post that really resonates with you and aligns with your own belief system. Next is that, you know, my personal boundaries are on YouTube, and my own professional boundaries, my personal boundaries, my healthy boundaries, and I'm talking clear across the board. So whether it's physical, emotional, financial, online, and on and on and on, because there's so many different types of boundaries, you know, it all comes down to, I try to communicate my boundaries. There are some people who will overstep them. You know, we can't control other people. We can't change them. We can't fix them, but we can show them to the door. We do not have to participate in toxic people and their bad manners. You know, basically that's what it comes down to, really, really bad manners. There are some people, you know, that saying misery loves company, like the narcissist, like the toxic flying monkeys. Oh yeah, misery does love company, but not on my watch, not on my watch. So I have really, really defined some healthy boundaries for me. Now, as a certified trauma recovery coach, now we're talking about code of ethics. I have to stand firm in my code of ethics as a professional. And so there are times that people might ask me certain questions, or some people might want to work with me and they're not a good fit for me. There's a million different things that could fall under this code of ethics. But as far as the code of ethics, my safety comes first and my client's safety comes first. Now, as I mentioned, all my coaching clients are awesome. I mean, they are like a super great fit with me and I totally love them. And I am so just thankful and blessed with the relationship we've established together. What I've noticed is there are some people who say they want to coach with me and they send me alias emails. They send me fake messages about their fake identity. And there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of people who are, they're not working with a full deck. And all I can say is if someone has red flags flaring and I suspect they are alias accounts, they're not being real, I'm not going to give you the time of day. If you can't be real with me, I can't give you my time, because I'm at a place in my life where my privacy does matter and my boundaries are extremely important. And I really take my job serious as a certified trauma recovery coach. And if people can't respect that, they could carry on and move on and they will not be part of my life. And this is just really being grounded in my own safety measures, my own standards as a human being and as a professional working in the mental health system. We have to do what we feel is best for us. And there is a code of ethics within the school I went to, within my certification, and I will stand up for it. And if anyone crosses these boundaries, especially anything to do with my code of ethics, I cannot participate in the crazy making drama. Next is sexual boundaries. And so sexual boundaries, I know it's personal, but hey, we need to talk about it. So here we go. This means that you have specific rules pertaining to your comfort level around physical touch, hugging, intimacy, kissing, affection, your physical body, and your sexuality. And so everyone, of course, has their own set of sexual boundaries. While it's a very private thing, it is also something that should be respected. An example of someone crossing your line of sexual boundaries is when, say, for an example, you meet someone online. So you haven't met them face to face, and no sooner did you connect with them and boom, just like that, they want to send you a text message. Oh, I need your phone number. Oh, I need your email. And before you know it, they're sending you nude pictures of themselves. Oh yeah. Now this happens all the time for a lot of people, and it's not just women. There's men who have talked about this too on social media. So whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., a lot of people are sharing like, no, don't send me nude pictures. Don't direct message me. The truth is, it's very, very inappropriate. For someone who's a sexual abuse survivor, it could be extremely triggering, and it could cause them flashbacks. It could cause them a setback, and it's very, very, very unhealthy. Next is spiritual boundaries. And again, we're going into a category where everyone is coming from a different background. You know, there are people who believe in God or Jesus. There's other people who are atheists and they may not have that belief system. And so we're not going to focus too much on like the religious organization or the aspect of your beliefs. But what I am going to say about your spiritual boundaries is that it's yours. It's not up to anyone else to decide what your spiritual boundaries are. You believe what you believe for whatever reason you choose to believe it, and that is your personal business. That is your choice. No one gets to set your spiritual boundaries for you. So the one thing that I noticed on social media, and this is just an example of someone crossing your spiritual boundaries, is when people start doing what I call religious gaslighting, and they start using the Bible or God as a weapon to hurt another person. Again, very inappropriate, very toxic, not a healthy thing. And so again, you know, if it's your social media page, you have the right to block them. You have the right to report them. Next is, we're going to end on tips for you to create your healthy boundaries, people. Number one, educate yourself about healthy boundaries. There's a ton of books available. I know that my last book, Soul Rescue, How to Break Free from Narcissistic Abuse and Heal Trauma, has an entire chapter devoted to setting and building healthy boundaries. Next is number two, determine what your limits and rules are for yourself. Number three, be aware of the signs when someone crosses your boundaries. Number four, let's see, learn to bravely speak up when someone oversteps your boundaries. You know, you need to learn to say no. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel ashamed to have boundaries. There's nothing. So many people are like, oh, I feel so guilty to have boundaries. Oh my goodness, no. Do you understand how important this is for our health? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, financially, relationally, professionally, personally, and on and on and on it goes. So no guilt, no guilt. Boundaries are so, so crucial. Especially in our relationships online and face-to-face. Next is number five. It is perfectly fine to say no to someone. If they're not in alignment with you, your belief systems, your morals, and your values, you have every right to say, you know, no, that doesn't work for me. No, thanks. Move on. Number six, release feeling guilty for creating boundaries. There is nothing to feel guilty about. This is nothing to be ashamed about. It is for your protection and your own health and peace of mind. Number seven, be clear on what you ask for and what you want. So this goes back to communicating. So boundaries do involve communicating, saying, yes, this is good. No, that doesn't work for me. You cross my boundaries. You got to be honest. You have to just communicate. Speak up. Next is number eight, seek emotional support. Oftentimes people who have been abuse survivors or trauma survivors feel challenged with boundaries. Why? Because they weren't taught boundaries, or people overstep their boundaries over and over and over and over and over again. Sometimes it's helpful to work with a trauma-informed licensed therapist or a certified trauma recovery coach who specializes in whatever type of trauma or abuse that you have suffered. And the reason why it's really important that they're trauma-informed is because you want someone who really is educated and aware and respectful of trauma, and someone who could work with you and understand what you've gone through. So that would be a better fit. Next would be number 9, learn to express your authentic emotions even if you disagree with someone. And so we have to understand, we don't have to be everything to everyone. It's okay to speak our mind and to disagree with someone. That doesn't mean we argue with them. That doesn't mean we have to have this big fight or conflict with them. We could peacefully disagree with people, and that's called adulting. I think it's something on social media people need to start practicing. Adulting. Yep, we're not going to act like little junior high mean girls or mean guys. We're going to be adults, and we're going to be respectful and polite. And that's what it's all about. Nothing is wrong when someone has boundaries. What's wrong is when someone crosses your boundaries, and they really do need to respect you. And number 10, last one is trust your gut instincts, because your body signals are alerting you to potential danger. A lot of times, if someone's crossing your boundaries, you might feel tightness in your muscles, rapid racing heartbeat. Maybe you end up getting sweaty, perspiring. You feel anxious, uncomfortable. You want to just kind of run. Some people might feel like they're in fight or flight. They want to just get the heck away from the toxic person. You know what I'm talking about. And so trust your gut instincts, because your intuition is there for you to support you, to protect you. So if something doesn't feel right, or if something feels unsafe, if something just seems, I call it off, you can end the conversation. You can walk away. So please share with me, do you have healthy boundaries? Does anything in this video message resonate with you, especially when I started getting into the personal boundaries, the sexual boundaries, the financial boundaries, the physical boundaries, professional boundaries, and on and on. Tell me what your experience is with boundaries. Did you get taught boundaries when you were a child or a teenager, or have you established them as an adult? So let's keep this conversation going in the comments section. Like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can visit me at danaarcuri.com. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.